What is that on your? Is that an? Is that an Oscar? You got it or an Emmy?
Yeah, that's a fake Oscar I bought in Los Angeles a few years ago.
Okay, there's something you need to tell me.
No. If you talk to our if you talk to my boss Tom O'Neill, he's the one who can show you the actual hardware. He has a full collection of it.
Oh my goodness. What else have we got there? You got a TIE fighter?
Yeah, that's all my nerd memorabilia. I have Ninja Turtle Trolls, Tie Fighter, Mass Effect. Yeah.
So I'm right in thinking you've been to Comic Con at least once in your life.
New York. I haven't been to the main event in San Diego, but I've been to New
Oh, you've got to go, man.
York. I need to save up for that ticket. Anyway, Andrew Lincoln, thank you for joining us. You've played Rick Grimes on The Walking Dead for 4 seasons.
Mhm.
It's an emotionally demanding role with a lot of loss over the years the character has experienced. When you first signed up, did you expect the level of intensity the character would bring?
I think it was kind of implicit. I mean, if you read between the lines, I think a zombie survival horror sort of does what it says on the label. So, I mean, I probably didn't anticipate how painful it would be making these great friendships with people and then invariably losing them and me having to shoot them. It was, yeah, I mean, it's kind of grown as the series and the show has grown. And yeah, I mean, I probably should have thought about it a little bit. I mean, I was so excited to take the role in the first place that I don't really think too far ahead. But certainly, I look around the cast this season, and I realize that there's 5 or 6 of us left from that original ensemble, which was an incredibly strong ensemble.
As you mentioned, the cast turnover is pretty intense on the show. There aren't many original cast members left, as characters are killed off. It must be sad to see, cast members leave when their character is killed off. But is it also kind of rewarding to be able to explore, your character with, different actors who come in, different characters, those different relationships?
Yeah, I mean, it is the only bad thing about the show, the fact that you lose these extraordinary relationships on and off set. But I think it's probably one of the enduring strengths of the show is the fact that we can reinvent ourselves, and you do get, as you say, you get to sort of explore and live with this character. And this is the longest I've ever lived with a character. This is my 5th year, and in story time, 2.5 years. There was a moment this season when I spoke to Scott Gimple and just said, I really miss Herschel. I really miss Scott Wilson. And he said, that's the point. So I think that, there is something to be said. Losing Laurie was incredibly painful in every aspect. But the trajectory and the journey that it sent me on was phenomenal to play as an actor. So, there's a little bit of give and take on both sides, I think.
That aftermath of Laurie's death last season, season 3, would you say that's the darkest place you've had to go with the character thus far?
Oh no, I've gone far worse. No, I mean, I think emotionally that was, the driving force behind Rick for so much of the show had been, the 2 pillars of his existence were his wife and his child, and I wanted that moment. I was adamant that he should drop his gun and he should fall. You should see this man that has pushed all of these people and people have stood behind for so long. I wanted to see him fall like a tree, and so emotionally, I think that was definitely the lowest point. It's interesting because he's one of these. I think probably one of the strengths of Rick is that he's like human beings. He's incredibly adaptable to his environment, and he has these incredible reserves of strength, and he just keeps going on, and that is something really exciting to play, you know, to try and find within yourself how you navigate this terrible world, you know. And I love it. I love playing him. I love sort of having the opportunity to spend so much time with this guy. He's kind of, there are parts of him that I so admire and so wish I could be, you know. So it's an amazing, that's why it's such a gas to do my job, you know. You get to pretend to be sometimes your better self.
Now, The Walking Dead is also a physically demanding show with a lot of brutal, intense combat scenes. I'm sure safety must be an important priority. So what's the prep work like to create convincing scenes, but also to keep the cast and crew safe?
Yeah, that's a very good question. I mean, it is. When I first read the pilot, I had no idea that you know, I was going to go grey, turn 40, and become an action hero. You know, that just wasn't in the game plan. And it's certainly one of my favorite parts of my day job is that I show up to work, I put my cowboy boots on, strap my gun to my you know, my waist, and then start slaying zombies. Who'd have thought it? But yeah, we do with safety. We do move very, very quickly in the show. We shoot one episode in 8 days. Monty, the fight director this season, is fantastic, and you know, the director on set will describe the scene. We'll have story time. And then it's down, a lot of it's left to the discretion of the actor as to how they want to play it out. We're very, very lucky that we have incredible people that want to play the zombies, and a crew of stunt people that are just phenomenal. There was a girl that I did a stunt sequence with it's the most incredibly flexible girl, and it really helps. She's very, I think we're going to use a lot more female stunt women just because of them playing walkers and the fragility of their frame, but also their flexibility, because it makes for a more dynamic shot. But yeah, I mean, it's very much. It's funny because I was reading a book. I am reading a book about filmmaking at the moment, and just interviewing very, very good directors. And Bertolucci said this one thing, that he said that film stock is incredibly sensitive. It not only captures what's in front of the camera, but everything around the camera. And I think that that's why, you know, all of this, it has to be a collaborative experience to get the magic on the screen. And so there has to be a little bit of spontaneity in all of this. And I think that that's why it's so much fun, this show, is because it's high stakes. We try and shoot very quickly, so and we try and keep the camera moving with the actors, so you capture as much real time as you can.
This past season in particular, you've had some pretty intense hand-to-hand fight scenes, one of which was with the governor, played by David Morrissey, where he almost killed Rick. How long does it take to shoot a fight scene like that?
It took, I think, the day, but I felt it for the week. So yeah, I mean, both of us, these two old Brits, you know, had been waiting to sort of wade into each other for a time. So I don't think either of us held back. And we very quietly, the day after, said, "How are you feeling?" And I said, "In a little bit of pain." You know, so yeah, that scene was incredibly brutal, and like most of the show, but it was a necessary point. You know, it was a necessary and exciting. It's, you know, David is a terrific actor, and he brought so much to the show playing the governor. You know, it was very sad to lose him, as obviously Scott Wilson.
Now, there is also a very intense scene towards the end of the season where Rick had to defend himself by literally biting into a man's throat. What were your thoughts going into that scene?
I didn't have many thoughts, really. All my thoughts were sort of before. I mean, I did, you know, I did call when I read the episode, I called Scott Gimple, our showrunner, and and um, and I just said, Scott, we've always been incredibly responsible with the violence, and there's a line in the sand, and perhaps do you think maybe this moment we're overstepping that line in the sand? And he said, which scene? I said, the scene when I tear the guy's throat out with my teeth. And he said, no, I don't think that's, I think it's a necessary beat, and it's where this man is. And actually, when we played the scene out, like many times with Scott Gimple, he was proved right, and it made complete sense. And the beauty of that scene is the scene after the scene, the morning after the scene with Daryl, where there is a calm realization that this is that brutality, the barbarian in Rick, is just as important as the humane side of Rick, and probably one of the main reasons why he and the family have survived for so long. That was the beauty of, I think, when we're at our best, is when you push the boundaries of what you can show on TV and on film, but it's rewarded with an emotional payoff. And I think that as long as we adhere to that rule, then I think we can always keep pushing the boundaries.
Before we continue for a second, I just want to, apparently other people aren't seeing your video, so I was wondering if you can, we're hearing your audio well, but if you could check your maybe video settings, if your camera is turned off, perhaps, I'm not sure.
I don't really enjoy looking at I've never seen the show, so does it need to be on?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I turn it off because I don't enjoy looking at myself. Ouch. So, can you see me now?
I saw you for a second, and then, oh, no, there you are. I see you now.
So, I'm so sorry. It's just that I don't enjoy looking at myself.
Just like, try and block out your image on the side.
That. It's going to look weird. Actually, let's do that. Let me put that over there. Can you see me still?
Yeah, I can still see you.
Was there a big cushion in front of the camera?
Gotcha. Well, the show has earned SAG Award nominations for Best Stunt Ensemble. And stunt actors' work is meant to be kind of invisible on a film or a TV show, so they don't necessarily always get the recognition they deserve. On a show like The Walking Dead, are the stunt actors invaluable in really making the show convincing?
Absolutely. I think it's a vital ingredient to the thrill ride experience of the show. I also think it's worth saluting that the hardcore extras who and particularly featured extras who play supporting artists who play the zombies. I mean, these guys are hardcore, and they stay out in the blistering Atlanta heat. They throw themselves around just as much as the stunt performers as well. So yeah, I think that all of it's what I said earlier. I think everybody, it does feel like a true collaboration, the show, and I think that everybody and every department is at the top of their game and has to be in order to get it shot in 8 days.
The show has also won Emmys for its prosthetic makeup. As yet, we haven't seen Rick turn into a zombie, so we haven't seen him in that kind of makeup. But there's still significant makeup involved. After Rick has been through a particularly intense physical battle, for instance. What is the experience like working with makeup artists on the show?
They're the best. They're the best I've ever worked with, and they're true artists as well. And not only, they create. They're sort of scientists as well, because they create the gags, very physical 3D gags, so you can have practical, like the taking of Herschel's leg. That was a practical gag, a real gag, and it helps actors if you think you're cutting through your fellow actor's leg. It's very disturbing. But they're amazing. I mean, a perfect example is Andy, who is one of KNB, Greg Nicotero's company, that do the prosthetic makeup. He, in his spare time, he grinds pigment, makes canvases, original canvases, and he painted the Mona Lisa with original medieval materials and tools, and it's astonishing. That's what that guy does in his spare time. So the level of expertise and talent in that department is, and has been rewarded with many accolades, and deservedly so. They're amazing.
You yourself were singled out for a nomination from the Critics' Choice TV Awards in 2013, and that was for the season when Rick's wife Lori died in childbirth, as we discussed earlier. What was your reaction to getting that recognition?
Oh, it's always incredibly flattering, and yeah, I mean, for our show, for any recognition, a critical recognition is always an amazing accomplishment for everybody. The fan awards as well are incredibly important to us. We began this show, and it it was like jumping off a cliff. You're doing a zombie survival horror, and you just think, really? And I said to my agent, I said, I've been working for 18 years. It's really, is it time for zombies? And it's sort of, it's grown into this story, this bigger story that feels like we're doing it now for the responsibility is not necessarily for critical acclaim, although that is beautiful and incredible when it comes, but it's much more about honoring this incredibly incredible story that I feel tethered to, because I've been in pretty much every episode since we began. So yeah, I mean, it's any recognition is wonderful, and everybody, we go off into the Georgia countryside and we create this thing, and you forget that it's caught a lot of people's imagination, but certainly to be able to sort of push out of a genre and maybe turn people's heads a little bit more as to the character development is always a very thrilling experience.
This year, Melissa McBride was singled out as Carol at the Critics' Choice Awards, and that character really, took a major shift, and we saw new things from that character, and you worked a lot with her last season. What was it like seeing that character develop in that way, and then seeing the recognition she's been getting for it?
It's one of the great. It makes me so happy. It makes me more happy than getting recognition myself, because when people realize, I mean, everybody that acts, any actor that has acted with Melissa McBride knows they're in the company of, I won't say genius, but a uniqueness that is extraordinary and incredibly captivating. I mean, I came to this country to work with people of that quality, and she began. And it's a perfect example of how the ethos of the show is developed, is that you are rewarded for your talent. Look at Greg Nicotero. Greg Nicotero is a perfect example, a case in point. He began working solely in his department, and then people realized he had an enormous directorial talent, and he's been rewarded, and now he opens the show, the season. Mike Satrazemis, case in point. He's the #1 camera guy, and now he directed that episode last season. That was his first episode. Melissa McBride said maybe 5 sentences in the first season, and now look at what she's done. I mean, it's wonderful when you see talent, pure talent, being recognized in this way, and even more thrilling when critically it's recognized as well. The fans, the fans knew it quite some time ago, I think, but it's wonderful that she had the opportunity and had that incredible episode to show what she is more than capable of doing. She's a rare talent.
Speaking of fans, we have a question in the chat room from Linda Borg,
Hey,
who wants to know, at the end of last season, Rick faced two kinds of brutality. There was violence against his son, and then his own desperate reaction to it. Which do you think will be the foremost in his mind going forward?
It's interesting because I think that it was another watershed moment for Rick. I've been very fortunate in this role to keep the writers, Scott and the team, and Glenn and Frank before him, have all put Rick on this incredible trajectory, which is such fun as an actor to sink my teeth into. And I think he's at a very new place. I think he's made peace with both of the sides of him. The brute, the beast, and Beauty and the Beast. It's that classic story, isn't it? You go into the woods, it's darkness, and you find yourself, and you accept that other part, and you return changed. And I think he's very much there at the moment. I think he's, but it's not in conflict. This brutal part of Rick is very much, it's almost a pragmatic acceptance of that's what I need to do to survive, so that's going to be it. And there isn't any internal conflict anymore. I think he's at his most dangerous but also dynamic, and I'm enjoying playing him this season, is all I'm going to say.
Alana Robinson in our chat room wants to know if you would ever consider directing an episode of The Walking Dead.
I would love to. I really would. I mean, the only problem is I don't watch the show, so I'm going to have to either sort of get them to edit me out so I can see how to do it, or watch the episodes, the rare episodes that I'm not in. But yeah, certainly, I directed a show back in England, a show that I was involved in called Teachers, and loved it. And it certainly is, working with actors and the technical aspect of capturing performance and visual storytelling is something that really is excites me. So it's also just, I think so much of this job and this show is about creating the right environment for actors to risk looking a fool. So much of the thing that stops me from what I perceive to be good work or true work, or whatever you want to call it, it's very difficult. I hate talking about acting, but I once I get over the idea that I'm going to be an idiot, look like an idiot, then I sometimes can do some good stuff, or it surprises me. And I think we're very lucky in this job, is that everybody's been working on it for a long time and loves it, and is very keyed into creating that space where everybody, every department, technical and creative, want to push themselves. So yeah, I would, in the short answer is yes, if I'm still alive. And even if I'm not alive, I'd love to come back.
The Walking Dead is interesting in how it alternates between, very big action scenes like the siege of the prison and zombie attacks, with also very intimate character moments. Which do you find yourself enjoying more?
All of them. I mean, that's what that's not a good answer, but it's a true answer. I love. There's something incredibly. I mean, I love sport. I've always loved sport, and I like to think I was all right at sport, and pretty spatially aware. And there's something incredibly liberating, and it keeps you in the moment, doing all these physical scenes, because you're too concerned about shooting something, running away from something, or fighting something to stop you. You don't act. You're so worried about just staying alive and avoiding sort of bullets, yeah, or fake bullet. What are they called? Zerks. But so I love all of that. There's something incredibly thrilling about just, and also because I get to dress up as a cowboy and run around there. Come on, who doesn't like that? I mean, that's my day job. But I don't think they would be as satisfying or as fun or as rewarding if we didn't have those quiet, still character moments. I think each one earns the other's reason for being there, and hopefully it gives a kind of rhythm and a sort of shape to the episodes as well. So it gives breathing space. Otherwise, I think everybody would just be traumatized by a show if we didn't have a bit of hope and strength and all of those kind of qualities.
Mario Solis in our chat room wants to know if you could bring back only one deceased character, who would it be?
I get asked this a lot, and I'm never going to answer it because I know that I will get 23 emails instantly as soon as I say one person. But safe to say that everybody has had an incredible impact. I mean, of course, losing Laurie, story-wise, was devastating. John Bernthal, there's something about creating there's something about the galvanizing qualities of fear that you experience with an actor or fellow actors when you start doing something. You get it on stage, but also when you initially set the tone for a show. There's nothing like fear to make a friendship, and John Bernthal works in a very similar way to me, as does Sarah Wayne Callies and Jeff DeMond. It was a rare, Norman, and there was a rare sort of. It felt very much like a company. It felt like an ensemble, a true ensemble, and so I of course miss those guys so much. But there's something that we honor. It's about honoring the integrity of what we set up in that first season that carries me on each season. And then it's amazing watching new actors come and join the gang. And I've been privileged to work with 3 new actors that have joined the company. And they get that we've got this fun, kind of very focused set, and you see them doing the most magnificent work, and they go, "Oh, we're doing that kind of stuff here," and that's the most beautiful. It's so rewarding because you desperately want to hold on to what we've established here, but actually you have to let people come and bring their own energy to the set, and that's so thrilling, But yeah, I suppose the original guys, but Scott Wilson is. I'm still in a great deal. I mean, I used to take so much money off the golf course off him, and on the weekends. I mean, I'm furious. That was So no, Scott Wilson. Scott Wilson is a very special friend. And a man I admire in all aspects, creatively, but also what he stands for as well. He's a rare breed, that guy, and I know that everybody on the crew and the cast really felt his absence this year.
Probably your most important ongoing relationship on the show thus far has been with Chandler Riggs, who plays your son. We've seen him really grow up on the show. What has it been like working with him and seeing him develop as an actor over the years?
Well, he came with that. He came as 32 years old, trapped in a 10-year-old body. it's a very sweet thing. His father just handed him over to me again. He goes, "He's yours now for the summer." You know, it's a very I love working with him. We have a shorthand. There's something I learn from him. There's a freedom that he has, and he just is. We got lucky, you know. Like many parts of this show, we got lucky with him, and he's an extraordinary. He's just a great kid. He's a great young man, and it is amazing watching how he deals with all of this, and he's a very impressive young man. I love working with him, and I do feel it's very strange. I feel like I feel very fatherly paternal towards him, and we have a laugh. I call him Riggs. Each season I've got a new name for him. Last season was the kid, and now he's too old to be called the kid. He's Riggs. I just go, "Riggs, what's up, Riggs?" And he's just the best.
That's a good nickname.
So yeah, it's a joy. I mean, of course, that relationship is pivotal, and always has been in the comic book. And it's very interesting watching how the writers' room are navigating his coming of age as well, because it wasn't so present in the comic book. They keep him small for a long time, but we ain't. I mean, his you know, I came on set this season, and he was like, "Hey Andy, what's up?" You know, he's got this incredible deep voice, you know, and so I have to drop my voice now for Rick Grimes. I have to lower my to out-butch my son, which is very disturbing. But the writers have been very interesting in the way that the writers have been very witty in the way that they're sort of writing his story this season as well.
One last question. I had a chance to talk to Denai Guerrero recently, and she obviously couldn't reveal anything specific, but she said the material that's already being filmed for the new season is mind-blowing, is what she called it. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I think it's an amazing thing, and I know that there's so much hyperbole sort of surrounding filmmaking and promotion of shows. It's always ramped up to the max. But I truly believe that I was so excited to return this season, mainly because we'd never left a season on a cliffhanger, and I think that's given the show an incredible impact. Certainly the first few episodes, there are no holds barred. We come out of the blocks at full speed, and so it's an interesting experience, because it's almost like we would jump back into the middle of the heart of darkness, and it is. I think the first few episodes, I'm not allowed to say numbers, but I think the first few episodes that I've read are astonishing, not only for the energy and the emotional impact, but just story, how they are able to develop character in amongst this incredible thrill ride. I'm really excited. I think I'm really, really excited by it. I think if we capture 75%, 70% of what I read in the script, I think the fans are going to be more than happy.
Well, thank you very much for your time. I want to congratulate you again on the show and continued success.
Well, thank you, and maybe see you at San Diego Comic-Con.
Maybe sometime soon. Maybe next year, not this year, probably. But
Okay, well, it's a pleasure being talking to you. Thank you.